And it seems like there's a decent amount of executive orders on deck. Now, the question is, will this be a day one executive order, a week one executive order, or sometime in the first 100 days? It seems like, according to initial reports, we'll probably get it next week. And if I had to imagine what these executive orders would be, I imagine SAB 121 is right on the top of the list, as well as kind of creating the actual crypto council.
This episode is brought to you by BitGo, which is a top-tier crypto custodian that has been in the industry since 2013. It's headed up by Mike Belshew, who's a Web 1.0 and 2.0 legend. BitGo provides incredible services in addition to custody. They allow you to manage your tokens, get all types of liquidity, and much more. And some of the companies that use BitGo include Bitstamp Exchange, SWI, the token project, Pantera Capital, that's Dan Moorhead, as well as 21 Shares, which issues Bitcoin and Ethereum ETFs. Some of the great services that BitGo provides includes wallet services, which is secure, trusted, scalable wallet solutions, Prime services, which allows you to get seamless access to liquidity and capital. It also allows you to list, manage, and grow your ecosystem. And they have what's called the Go Network, which is a secure real-time global settlement. Recently, BitGo launched a retail platform that allows you to trade, stake, and of course, custody your crypto assets. And this is a great solution because it provides you with top-tier crypto security, and security is, of course, a big factor in investing in crypto. And BitGo is offering an incredible incentive as they launch this platform where you can get a chance to win Bitcoin. They're giving away at least one Bitcoin every quarter. So if you sign up and have funds on the platform through the last day of each quarter, starting December 31st, 2024, you can be eligible to win some free Bitcoin here. So if you'd like to learn more about BitGo, go to bitgo.com. Link will be in the description. Welcome into the Thinking Crypto podcast, your home for cryptocurrency news and interviews. I'm your host, Tony Edward, and my guest today is Ron Hammond, Director of Government Relations at the Blockchain Association. Ron, great to see you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year, Tony. Always great to be chatting. So got a lot to dive into, so looking forward to it.
Yeah, Ron, I saw your post yesterday recapping what's going to happen this week or what you expect for crypto. And boy, there's so much going on, Ron. How about we start about the new digital assets subcommittee in the Senate? This is huge.
It's massive. And this is kind of the precursor to what we saw in the House 2 years ago, where they formed their digital asset subcommittees. And that became kind of the basin where a lot of the legislation that became FIT 21 stablecoins formed. But we've never seen that in the Senate. And Tim Scott establishing the Senate Banking Committee and Digital Asset Subcommittee is a major, major milestone. And even better, it's a really good lineup of folks we have on that subcommittee, especially on the Republican side of the aisle. So we have Senator Lummis, who's chairing it right now. And then we have a lot of good other folks like Bill Hagerty, for example, Tom Tillis, Bernie Moreno, and several others. So really looking forward to what's going to come out of that subcommittee, the hearings that are going to be happening, as well as the legislation that likely will be going through that committee, hopefully pretty soon.
Yeah, absolutely. And some big champions of crypto in that subcommittee, Senator Lummis, you mentioned Hagerty. And I saw even Tim Scott this morning release a statement about his priorities for the 119th Congress. They want to get some sort of framework around digital assets through. So are you anticipating this subcommittee will help get some sort of bill through the Senate this year?
Correct. And just for a little history lesson for those who may not be following this as much, we've had a lot of issues with the Senate in the past. Now, mind you, it was usually under Democrat control, but even any bill that moved out of the House, for the most part, that was pro-crypto, it ended up dying usually in the Senate, or there was enough pressure and political, I guess gateways at the Senate that the House just decided not to go forward at all. So having that barrier gone is huge. And I think a lot of the legislation that usually forms in the House, we're going to see some of that now forming in the Senate. Take Senator Lummis, for example. She's really advocating heavily for the Bitcoin Strategic Reserve. That's her passion project. And it is very likely, since she's the subcommittee chair, we're going to have hearings on this. And, for a long time, a lot of people on Twitter have been following a lot of our pro-crypto champions, and they've been saying some great things. But the reality now is that these are folks who are now in charge of these subcommittees. So the tweets matter a lot. What they view matters a lot. It's going to dictate what hearings happen, as well as what bills move forward and what bills don't move forward. And so we have a lot of good allies and allies in powerful positions. And that really does pave a way for potentially a really positive pro-crypto Congress. But still, there will be political hurdles in the way. So we'll have to deal with that as time comes on.
Speaking of hurdles, yesterday I saw Elizabeth Warren send some topics or questions for the Scott Bissent confirmation hearing. Seems like she's trying to ramp up her anti-crypto sentiment and talking points again.
Exactly. I mean, it was probably the worst blunder, I would say, of the campaign cycle, at least in our very niche area, was making the anti-crypto army and really leaning into it. And that just backfired tremendously, where even Van Jones was on CNN the other day saying the war on crypto is one of the reasons why the Democrats lost, which is crazy to hear about that. And I, again, years ago, would not thought that'd be possible. But the facts speak for themselves and the votes speak for themselves too. And so, the question kind of was, where's Elizabeth Warren going to go next? Is she just going to let this go off to the side and focus on other issues that she has more priority on? Or is she really going to double down? And that's kind of what we've seen is she's doubling down on crypto, on the idea that it's only used for money laundering. And I think that's going to present a couple challenges and hurdles in the Senate. Mind you, again, in the Senate, for example, there's only a 3-vote majority, I believe, in the Republicans have right now. But for a lot of bills, they're going to need 60 members of Congress in the Senate to vote for it. And so you're going to have to work with Democrats here. And when Elizabeth Warren is leading the Senate Banking Committee, she will have a lot more power in terms of whipping Democrats to be anti-crypto or voting against certain pieces of legislation. So she's definitely going to be a hurdle. And that was definitely an opening salvo in terms of how she's going to view the Treasury Secretary nomination. And most likely pretty soon, the SEC nomination that comes through Senate Banking, that's going to be her committee as well. So get ready for that because I think Elizabeth Warren is doubling down. And, the good thing is that we have the facts on our side and we have a lot of momentum. And I think she is going to be the naysayer, but for the most part, she's in the minority. So the good thing is that we can move forward with the pro-crypto members in the majority.
Yeah, absolutely. A great point. She's in the minority. And then I remember Chuck Schumer, part of the Senate, of course, at the end of 2024, he was, on the side of getting legislation through. So I'm hoping he can raise his voice and get some more Democrats to back him in the Senate.
Exactly. I mean, take the SAB 121 vote that happened a couple months ago. Chuck Schumer and several other Democrats in the Senate, they bucked Elizabeth Warren and they voted to repeal SAB 121. It was actually Joe Biden who vetoed it still, but that bill itself was the most bipartisan bill Joe Biden ever vetoed in his administration, which is crazy to think about. But that, out of all the bills out there, that was the one that had the most bipartisan support. So internally, we're feeling pretty good in terms of, we educate our allies. We've reached out to maybe different constituencies that really want to care about crypto. And it's worked in the past. And now we have a much better field and chessboard in terms of getting legislation through, blocking bad rules or bad legislation, and then getting things done. This is the crunch time here. Next year and a half, 2 years are going to be really, really busy here in DC. And we want to get as much accomplished as we can before, whatever happens the election next go around.
Now, speaking of SAB 121, there are talks about Donald Trump, who's the inauguration's next week, that we may see day one, some sort of crypto executive order, possibly the repeal of SAB 121. Are these just rumors or are there any validity to them?
So I've been talking with the executive director for the Hopeful Crypto Council, Bill Hines, pretty extensively through the past couple of weeks, as well my boss, David Sachs. And it seems like there's a decent amount of executive orders on deck. Now, the question is, will this be a day one executive order, a week one executive order, or sometime in the first 100 days? It seems like, according to initial reports, we'll probably get it next week. And if I had to imagine what these executive orders would be, I imagine SAB 121 is right on the top of the list, as well as kind of creating the actual crypto council. It's unclear still to this extent if it's going to be 10 companies, 20 companies or executives, 100. There's been reports on all three numbers, but overall, they need to make an executive order to make this council. So I think we're sure we'll see a council formation and the details of that unfold next week. We could see a SAB 121 repeal. We could see something on debanking, or we can also see something about changing the ethics rules for White House employees or administration employees that they can actually hold crypto. Because when I was a Hill staffer, I didn't hold crypto, but it was very detrimental to me personally just to learn the issue. And I think that's one of the education encounters we've had is just a lot of people refuse to touch it because they don't want to be, in law or flaw, I guess, of the ethics law. So that tweak is going to be a lot as well. So there's a wide variety of issues that they could probably do an executive order on, and it probably will be multiple. But for sure, it seems like we're going to get something next week.
When you say crypto council and, we got a White House crypto czar and all these people, I almost I have to pinch myself because it doesn't feel real. Like I couldn't have pictured this.
The crazy thing is that in DC, it is, I mean, again, I've been in the policy side when like no one cared about crypto. I mean, it was 2017, 2020, 2021, and things started to change a little bit. But now we are kind of the hottest player in town. We have a lot of allies in Congress. The administration is, head over heels on crypto. A lot of folks are donating to the inauguration, as well as just more to the campaign itself. And there seems to be a whole revival here, and crypto is leading the charge. And so we'll see how long that honeymoon period lasts, but at least right now, there's a lot of optimism in DC and just generally with the community. And crypto is making a huge impact in DC on the social scene. I mean, we have the crypto ball coming up on
Yeah.
Friday that Snoop Dogg is performing at. It's like, where do we go over here? I'm glad everyone's going to be celebrating stuff. We got a lot of work ahead of us, but it's weird how crypto is now a major force in DC, and DC is welcoming it right now, and that's been very different in the past couple of years.
Oh, absolutely. What a complete 180. You mentioned the inauguration ball. Is that hosted? Who's putting that together? And is Donald Trump going to attend?
To my knowledge, no, we won't have any Vance or Trump will not be there, but it's apparently Sachs's event. I think Bitcoin Magazine, I believe, is one of the organizers as well as Bitcoin Media. There's a couple other inauguration events. Every state society does their own event. So it's, the time for balls and pageants all during inauguration week. And then come next week after Trump's in office, the real work begins. And there's a lot. So we have nominations. We have bills moving forward. We have committees being formed. So, this is the honeymoon period, but it's going to be very briefly over and it's going to get really, really busy soon.
Yeah, absolutely. I think after all this, got to be heads down, get to work, right? And we got some opposition to Elizabeth Warren, so we got to definitely put the work in. Now, Gary Gensler, current SEC chair, but he's going to be out by next week. He's been doing some exit interviews this week. Seems he's trying to save some face here, but it comes in the week that another judge calls the SEC arbitrary and capricious. Second time under Gary Gensler's tenure. This is kind of crazy. What are your thoughts on all this?
I think one of the main facts is that the arguments that the industry has been having for years is now gone mainstream. We've even seen CNBC anchors pushing back against Gensler and trying to have his legacy of sorts. We've seen the judges in the Third Circuit to the Coinbase case. It was two Democrats and one Republican judge, and they all voted that it was arbitrary and capricious on the SEC end not to provide clear rules of the road and to explain their reasoning. So I'm excited to see what the SEC reasoning is for not providing the rules of the road, because we've been asking this for years. And Coinbase has done a hell of a job, both on the legal front, but as well in the lobbying policy front, educating members and really leading the charge here. So we're really excited from all the work they're doing on the court side. And it's going to yield hopefully some really positive results with a new SEC at the helm. And so Gensler's a wounded animal. We'll see if he does anything else in the last few days, but that was a major blow. And, I think his PR press tour for his waning days are not going as well as maybe he predicted.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, Paul Atkins, of course, is the next SEC chair. When do you think he might be confirmed? Is it towards the end of January?
I believe so. So it seems like he's still working on some paperwork from internal sources. We're having some of the nomination hearings this week. So HegSec was yesterday that a lot of folks were, more spotted around in the media for. We have Bissent on Thursday. We have plenty of other ones for other agencies and posts, but it doesn't have any yet for the SEC. So I do think either next week or the week after, we'll probably see, hopefully, Atkins in front of Senate Banking. But again, Elizabeth Warren is going to be the Democrat lead on that committee. And so how heavy does she go into crypto? How much does she focus on other issues are going to be really telling for the next 2 years where Warren's really going to dig in. But already we've seen crypto as one of her topics she's going to be doubling down on. So we're really excited to see kind of how that goes forward. It seems like Atkins is viewed as a non-controversial pick. And so he'll likely move forward and hopefully he can get in place very soon. So folks like Hester Peirce and Mark Ueda and several other on the staff side who've been waiting for years for this moment can start working on rulemaking and getting the clarity the industry needs and working with Congress to get legislation passed.
Absolutely. Now I know government moves slow. We're talking about obviously a pro-crypto president coming into office, pro-crypto Congress, the Senate subcommittee. Are you viewing possibly some sort of bill getting through late Q2 or possibly towards the end of the year?
So French Hill, who's leading the Financial Service Committee, he said he wants a stablecoin bill done the first 100 days. Now, Does done mean out of the committee? Does it done mean out of the House or do the president's desk? It's a little unclear. Obviously, a lot of these timelines can be very malleable considering that there's a lot that's facing Congress right now. Again, all the nominations, they have to avoid a budget fight in March. And then they're going to try to push a tax bill, which crypto's going to be trying to push a lot of pieces as well there. So it's likely we'll probably see some movement in the committees from French Hill on both market structure and stablecoins. But I would imagine stablecoin goes first. And we'll probably have hearings early on in March, some maybe in February as well. And that'll probably progress to a committee vote on stablecoins. I'm hoping in Q1, but it could be early Q2 as well. So this is Congress. It does move a little slow. The first 100 days end in mid-April. So, I think we'll see some progress there. But when it comes to fit and market structure, that might take a little longer time because that bill was still not as fleshed out. And we haven't seen really the same work in the Senate in terms of moving that bill forward. So I would look at stablecoins first, but also I would look at a lot of hearings. We've already seen Senator Lummis say she wants to do a hearing on debanking, and that'll probably be a hot topic in the House as well. Finding out what happened with Operation Choke Point 2.0, that folks are calling it, and going over the FDIC records that have been coming out through Coinbase's efforts and several others on Twitter. So I think that's going to take up a lot of their time early on, but they're dedicated to move something pretty quickly. So French Hill especially is someone who likes to get something across the finish line. And so I would look to him to be the first mover here. And I would see the House hopefully done in the first 100 days, moving a stablecoin bill or even at least out of the committee.
Final question, and this one's a hard one, but I'm curious if what you're hearing in the DC circles. Do you anticipate under Paul Atkins that the SEC may drop some of the non-fraud cases and even speed up some of the settlements, things that are, like, hey, let's settle with Ripple and done, right? Let's move forward. Do you think we might see stuff like that?
That's a hope. I mean, there were some talks potentially of the EO that I mentioned earlier. Maybe there's something on the current litigation that they can do there. It's still unclear, to be honest. But I'm pretty sure we will see Atkins at least have some push to resolve as many of these cases quickly. Some of them have progressed pretty far in the courts, and that does create a couple of other problems and issues. And so, at least a couple of lawyers I've been talking to, it's a little unclear exactly where the litigation is going to fall with Atkins at the helm. But overall, it does seem, again, more in a positive direction. It does seem like there'll be a settlement. And then hopefully we'll get some clear regulation from the SEC as well as legislation. But it's not a guarantee. So we'll have to wait and see what happens.
Yeah, I mean, just the end of regulation by enforcement itself is such a great thing. But if they can drop some of these non-fraud cases where they're waiting on Congress, like, okay, crypto staking, well, we need Congress to probably tell us if staking itself is a security or not. Gary Gensler says stablecoins is a security. Well, cases around stablecoin, maybe they could drop that and wait for the stablecoin legislation and all these things, right? Which, once again, not fraud. If when someone stole money and they did bad things, do what you got to do. But some of these cases are just BS, like the one against Coinbase and Kraken and so forth, Robinhood. These are
Exactly.
yeah.
And a lot, again, to your point, there's a lot of efforts in Congress. Like take staking, for example. There's a high chance we can see something on staking in the big tax bill I referenced that's kind of coming down the pipeline Q1, Q2. So with all these court actions, we could have congressional action that undoes or mitigates all of what's happening in the court. So when I say it's going to be really, really busy these first 2 quarters, it's going to be a whirlwind. And the question is just like how far on the pro crypto side or how far can we move positive elements forward while shedding a lot of the issues that have occurred in the past 4 years. And that's what we're saying, folks, especially like things like debanking, which are very important still. And it's very good to get to the bottom of it. It's like, hey, let's focus a little bit on this, but let's get to the nitty gritty here and let's get some legislation moved and let's sign the law because we don't have too much time. And this is a very rare, instance where you have a full Republican sweep. And timing is going to be the essence because there's a lot of other priorities besides crypto. But the good news is that crypto has made the priority list. So that is something that we didn't expect years ago, but here we are now.
Absolutely. Ron, as always, my friend, thank you so much for the information and the insights. Appreciate you. And we'll probably have to have you back on maybe next week or the week after because there's so much. But thank you so much.
Sounds good. Well, I wish you were coming to the ball, Tony. And I'm always happy to chat. So looking forward to it.